Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Jay and Will Show. I am Jay.
I'm Will.
And we are here doing a quick reaction video. The game ended probably 20 minutes ago. So we're doing a quick reaction video to the Dallas Cowboys game against the Los Angeles Chargers, in which the Cowboys won 20-17. So while it's fresh in our mind, we decided to hop on and give you guys a little bit of context to discuss what we just saw. So I'm not gonna keep the floor long. I'm gonna hand over to Will, man. How you feel? What were your thoughts coming out of that win?
So first thing first, Dallas should have went for the touchdown. Should have pushed for the touchdown.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Because that was ridiculous. But overall, it was actually a really good game. If you would have told me that the score would have been like 20-17 as a final between these two teams, I would have caught you a lie, like straight up. Because you have all these defensive injuries on both for both teams. You have Demarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory out for Dallas. You have the cornerback and like a safety for the Chargers, and then Derwin wasn't 100% either. So it was craziness. But overall, it was a really good game by both teams. As we expected, Herbert, he was on it. Did throw a couple of interceptions at a bad time, especially the last one. It was in the end zone. But young guy, he'll get it together. But we could still see what he could do. He would, because at one point he was like 23 or 29, just throwing it all over the field, got whatever he wanted, and that was including a few throwaways as well. Just because that player wasn't open or anything like that, so he just tossed it away.
Right.
And so just for him to still knock out, it was pretty incredible to see that. And then Dak doing Dak things. Didn't have a ton of points today, like last week, which is, like I said, it's still crazy that you had so many injuries out and they didn't put up as many points. But Dallas did very well as far as setting the ground to keep them out the end zone, because they basically Chargers had to get creative with their scoring, so they for them to go into halftime, for them to be able to tie the game. So they had 2 field goals, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion.
Right.
Like it was insane just for get to that point. And so it was. And defense isn't great. Have a ton of injuries, but to be able to keep that team under 20 was pretty remarkable overall. And then you got the young one, number 11. I forgot his name.
That guy. What's his name?
From Penn State.
The franchise or
the defensive franchise.
MVP. MP. Micah.
There it is, Micah.
Micah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Something like that.
But yeah, the rook balled out with his hand in the ground. Like I was just. I put it in the group. It's like, bro, like they're gonna have to do that consistently. Pay his hand in the ground, especially with DeMarcus Lawrence. Like him being able to be a true pass rusher every few series or whatever would be amazing. Instead of just having him stuck as a linebacker, I think at this point you basically have to do him like the Rams do Jalen Ramsey. Like Jalen Ramsey moves around and. Because he's such a great player, can make plays. You got to do the same with Micah. Such a great player, got to have him to move around as well. Like it's the only right thing to do. You want your talent to in areas to be able to do to make these plays, and so I think that was really good. So, what do you think?
So, it was kind of, and we'll talk about this part. I kind of feel I'm not as excited as I thought it would be. And the reason why I say that is because that last drive killed any sort of excitement that I
It was
had for
bad.
this game.
Yeah.
And we'll touch on that, but like that, I'm glad we won, obviously, but boy, that killed any kind of excitement I could have had. That whole time, I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Get credit to Zerline for bouncing back after a bad week last week. He did a great job this week. No misses on extra points, no missing field goals. Was perfect throughout the day, so kudos to him. I thought for the most part we played good. I think this defense is going to be better than people expected them to be. Not that they're going to be like a world beater or anything like that, but
Nah.
they kind of started this towards the end of last year. They've gotten really good at turning the ball over or creating turnovers.
Yeah.
And so I think if they can contain that, or if they can maintain that and be consistent with that, that can potentially negate the fact that they're going to give up yards because they're just going to give up yards. But if they can flip the field in some of those instances and give the offense a shorter field, which is something that we haven't really had in a long time, a defense that's able to create those kind of turnovers, that could be somewhat of a makeup for the fact that they're going to give up the yardage. To see how they were getting sliced up by Herbert. I mean, he threw for 338, so it wasn't like he had an off game. But he had 2 turnovers, like you mentioned, and they did a really good job of making plays when they needed to. To only have them come away with 17 points, say whatever you want about the refs, which I mean, check might be in the mail. But they still made plays when they had to, and so I give them credit for that. They played hard enough to give the Cowboys a chance, or to give the offense a chance to win the game at the end. And that's not a lot of time. We can't say that very often about this defense. And so I give them credit from that perspective. And I think they have a lot to build off of, considering the fact that they weren't great. And like you said, we're missing a lot of people. So to be able to play the way they play, to have a guy like number 11 step up the way that he did and impact that side of the ball, at least from the front seven perspective, because they got a lot of pressure on Herbert today, like a lot of pressure, more than I thought they would have been able to. Yeah, and he got a sack. If that was anyway, the pressure they got on him was not something that you expect when you have both your starting defensive ends out for the game. So for them to manufacture that kind of pressure does say a lot about them, and it says a lot about what Dan Quinn has been able to do. And he's a guy that needs to get credit too. We have not really talked about him. I haven't really heard a lot of people in the media talk about him, but in these first 2 games, they haven't been shutting teams out, but they've been playing well enough to give the offense a chance to win, which is important because we talked about last year before Dak got hurt, they were constantly playing from behind. And in this scenario, they're not playing from behind anymore. They're neck and neck with these guys. They're not getting blown out like they were before. So you never know how much that can actually help the offense from not having to actually, we got to chuck the ball now. We got to catch up to at least, give ourselves a chance to win. At least this year, defense is at least so far showing that they can at least give the offense some room for error. Because to be honest with you, the offense only scored 6 points after the first quarter in this game.
Yeah.
If you would have told me this happened against, the Chargers or against the Bucks or at any point last year, I said we got our doors blown off. We only scored 2 touchdowns in the game, and both of them in the first quarter, and we didn't score another touchdown the rest of the game. Who would have thought we would win the game like that? But the defense did a good enough job to at least give the offense a chance to win at the end. And at the end of the day, I want the ball in Dak's hands with a chance to win, and not our defense on the field having to defend the other team having a chance to win. So it's all perspective. And again, I will feel a lot better about this winning more for that last freaking drive.
It was terrible.
Yeah, so those are my initial thoughts. I wanted to kind of circle back and discuss a couple things, get your opinion. First off, Dak didn't throw a touchdown in his game, but he went 23 of 27 for 237. Just initial thoughts. Oh, I'll kind of put it into alphabet soup and let you kind of hand over to you. So Dak's performance, 23, 27, 237 yards, no touchdowns. Had the pick, which I know he'll admit was not a good throw. Yeah. Tony Pollard,
Beast.
13 carries, 109, and a touchdown. Yeah. Zeke kind of woke up a little bit, 16 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb had a big game as well.
Yeah.
I'm tossing over you just kind of get your overall thoughts on, despite the fact that we did not score a touchdown outside of first quarter, just your overall thoughts on the offensive performance that we saw from these guys today.
So the one thing that could have been so third quarter. Actually, basically, I'd say the second half, they really didn't touch the ball that much because the Chargers had such long drives, and especially that third quarter. The first one was like a 5.5 minute drive, and then Dallas got the ball, had a chance to at least get a field goal out of it. Then Dak took the sack, and so
Yeah,
had to punt it away. Then they got the ball again. Yeah, they got the ball again. That's when they end up getting the field goal that time around.
yeah.
But we did score a touchdown inside the red zone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
actually,
That positive.
yeah. So I mean, we got just looking at the game pass, like we got what the two touchdowns that we got in the first quarter were both was in the red zone, like 5 yard, 4 and 5 yard runs. So I take that. I take
Yeah,
that,
that's a
especially
start.
last week that was the struggle. Like we kept getting
Mm-hmm.
into the red zone, but never punched. But they couldn't punch it in and end up
It's
missing.
been years, bro.
Yeah,
That's been a
yeah.
thing for
Exactly,
years.
exactly. So I would say I would take it as outside of that last drive was terrible. But outside of that, I think the offense did really well. They do still need to clean up these penalties. They
Mm-hmm.
get these. No penalties going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but there are certain times that you just can't take a bad penalty. Like you know that some penalties will be natural because you're trying to keep Dak from getting ran through. So
Right.
you got a hole right there. Okay, understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do just a hold out of the blue. Like just because you're getting a block and you just hold the guy who and the play is 20 yards other side of
Right.
the field away from like it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be able to play smarter. Dak got to clean up his part as well because he got was it two delay games? I know it was at least one, uh, but I think the other one might have been special teams.
Yeah,
So
one
he
was special teams.
okay. So with the delayed game, that was just yeah, got to get that sped
Yeah, that
up.
can't happen.
So I still get overall. I give the offense a B plus because they did enough with the ball that whenever they did have the ball, they did try to put up points or did put up some points because I mean just putting up two touchdowns in the red zone like that gets you up here to begin
Yeah,
with for this team. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but overall, I say B plus to A minus area for the offense. But yeah, they just got to clean up the bad penalties and but yeah, I was happy to see that. With Dak being able to still get he was just we knew that this game they wasn't going to throw like they did last week. Like
Mm-hmm.
last week was you playing the best run defense, so of course you had to throw it a lot. For this one, we definitely want to get a little bit more balance. So for Dak to be so efficient that's positive. That's very net positive right
Yeah.
there. But yeah, overall, offense did well. They definitely have to do some cleaning up. What about you?
So you talked about balance, and the stat number is pretty much as balanced as you'll get. So we had 221 passing yards and 198 rushing yards. I mean, that's pretty balanced, right?
Yeah.
So that obviously is completely different from what we saw last week. So that's a net positive there. To your point, also, we did a good job of, at least in the first half, getting the ball in the end zone. I think the first quarter and second quarter were kind of a wash, and I think you mentioned it where we had the ball the majority of the first quarter. The Chargers had the ball the majority of the second quarter. So there really wasn't a whole lot to do there. I do think there were a couple of times in the third quarter where we could have put points on the board and we missed opportunities to do that. Or at least touchdowns, at least. We missed some opportunities there. We only had one punt, so I think that's that's good. And they didn't have any. They had one, but they got called back, which that call.
It was weird to me because they did not look like Kamara got tackled into the punter.
There was definitely another charge of that initiated contact. At least maybe not initiated contact, but it wasn't a free shot. It wasn't a free shot at the punter. So I was surprised because usually in those situations, if they see they're blocking to him, they won't call it, or they'll at least pick up the flag. So I was surprised by that. But we saw throughout the game that the referees were kind of just doing whatever they wanted. So it just was what it was at that point. But yeah, I think overall there are some positives to take from. I kind of feel like it was a tale of two halves with the offense, honestly. The second half was not great, and there's room to clean that up. But I think also, these are the kind of wins that we wouldn't have gotten probably last year, the year before last. And I mentioned this before in one of our other videos about how Jeff Kavanaugh always talks about how those 50-50 games, those close games, usually one year you don't win them all, or you lose them all, and then the next year you win them all. And so this year is kind of more of hopefully the win them all side of things for us, and we kind of get some breaks that we normally haven't been able to get in the past few years. And I feel like this game kind of feels like one of those games where it's like it could have gone either way, and usually those games that could go either way go the opposite way for us. So it's certainly good to be able to get one that kind of goes in our favor. We're touching our defense, and then I want to talk about that last try. So defense, we talked about Micah Parsons. Obviously, was kind of all over the field, man. Just had an unbelievable game, and I think there's going to be for a little bit longer some talk about whether they should have taken Rashawn Slater at that pick, or where they were right to take Micah. And I don't know if there's a wrong answer, between those two. Yeah. But Lord, you can't say we regret taking Micah, I don't think, considering what he did, and the stats won't show it, because if you look at the stats, he only got 2 tackles in the sack, but you saw 11 all over the field. And a lot of the times whenever you saw Herbert running around, it was because he's being chased by number 11. So there was a lot of near sacks that didn't get registered, but he was making her move off his spot a lot. And to your point that you kind of made earlier, for him to not even be a consistent pass rusher and to be able to be that consistent with making things difficult for Herbert and the offensive line just says a lot about what he brings to the table. And there's some flexibility there that I think, when Jalen is finally gone, you know what you have as a middle linebacker, but while you still have Jalen on the roster and while you still have LVE on the roster, you can afford to move Micah around and see what other ways he can impact the game. And, I'm sure Jerry will understand, because Jerry's already kind of talked about the fact that he acknowledges that Jalen's probably on his way out. Yeah. But at least while you're paying him money, you can use him on the field and get some return on investment, but still have Micah on the field and still be able to get those reps and be able to impact the defense from different spots along the field. So that's the biggest takeaway for me was him, and I'm probably just all your thunder on that. But also Trevon Diggs played well initially. He kind of missed he had some boneheaded plays throughout the rest of the game. Started off really, really well with that pick. Should have had 2 picks. But the personal foul was just not a smart move, and just kind of made some gambles he probably shouldn't have made. Last thing I mentioned before I hand over to you is I don't know what Anthony Brown has on his team, but there are other players that are on the roster that play corner, and I don't feel like they're as bad. If they are, at least they're young, and there's a reason why they're that bad, right? Like a Deshaun Wright or even Maurice Kennedy, which I don't understand why he's not playing. I don't know if he's hurt. I haven't seen him be on the injury list, so I don't know. Yeah. I know he's not inactive because I saw a list of inactives. He was not on there, so I don't know what the issue is with him. But Lord, anybody else, I feel like is if even if they're not as even if they're not better, at least there's some room for them to grow and get better.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
we know where his ceiling is, and he's hit it. These other
Yeah,
guys,
2
at
years
least they
ago.
have an opportunity to grow and get better. So I'm done with him. I don't even want to see them at 30 on the field no more. The sooner he can go, the better, in my opinion. But I don't know if it's a thing where they're saying we paid him so he got to play. But man,
Yeah.
I feel like Dan Quinn's done such a good job with his defense. It's like you don't want to just set them up for failure with having somebody out there can't guard anybody. And I think you should give the other players at least an opportunity to see what they have. And if they stink, then they stink. But at least they have room to grow. And this dude he is what he is.
Barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken alert, bro. So yeah, what your thoughts on defense, man? I'm encouraged
So
overall, but it's
yeah.
it's there's some holes. There's some holes.
So I'm looking kind of towards the future. After seeing what Michael could do today, they're going to have to
Okay.
get another beast of a linebacker. They're going to have to. Like just because you need for him, you can't. He has to be able to pass rush as well. Like seeing seeing his pass rush today, to me, solidified him being a first round draft pick by Dallas. Like
Mm.
it solidified it. Like we already knew, like as far as just being the overall middle linebacker, like he's really good. But the way that he actually went after the quarterback, to me, it's like you drafting a legit pass rusher in the first round. It just solidified it because the way that they want you, as far as like the value points, you draft on defense, you draft players that affect the pass. Pass rusher, DD. They don't want you really to do the linebacker because unless it's a Ray Lewis, it's no need to even try to get the linebacker. Go ahead and get the linebacker in the second round. Like that's the main thing. It's like if you get in the middle linebacker, it's typically great at stopping the run, but not really coverage type of linebacker, right? But for him to be what he was today as for a pass rusher, you get a second guy like that to where you can basically interchange and you still have a guy behind him that can stop the run, have some sort of coverage as well. Because I think Jabril Cox might be able to
That's what
do
I was.
that.
That's what I was gonna say. What you figured your thought,
He
but
could be able. He could be able to do that, but I'm just not sure yet. That's why I'm hoping he'll be able. He'll be that guy. Like I'm hoping he'll be that guy to where hey, have both of them on the field. You got one that can do coverage. You got one that can stop the run and be able to pass rush as well. But they're going to have to draft another beast of a linebacker because or try to find one in a trade or something. But this that's very promising. It's very promising.
yeah,
Like the defense is the defense, but another defense, they're not gonna got holes all over the place, but he is one shiny spot. Him and
absolutely,
Diggs. You got
absolutely. That's
and
two
it's crazy because
levels.
like yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they tell you like you should have a great player on each level. So they have one in the secondary, they got one in the middle. They do have Lawrence, like he does get his when he's his rushes when he's healthy and stuff. So they do kind of have it, but you need at this point you got three good ones, and then everybody else is so under par. Like it's not helping. If you at least have more average players, then that would make these three players look even that much better because they won't be having to. They wouldn't have to basically save the day all the time. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's you do see him getting better, and they don't look so lost. The defense, because last year that's what it seemed like. A lot of their stuff was with the receivers being open. There were some open players today, but it just felt like it wasn't like it was last year. Last year,
mm,
it was so terrible. But it just feels like this year that they actually know what they're doing. But I guess them actually having training camp, a true training camp, having, and then also on top of that, you had the preseason games as well. It's expected for them to know more than what they did last year, and I'm sure Dan Quinn simplified it as well instead of trying to do too much through Zoom, which I don't understand why you would even try to do that again.
I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and again, I'll just echo that. Man, he deserves a lot of credit, man. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you can even see like there's just a different energy on the defense as far as like guys,
Mhm.
running to the ball and trying to shut the ball out and being aggressive with taking shots and trying to get picks. You can just see there's just a different energy that I didn't see when Mike Nolan was here that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, two things. One thing that has nothing to do with basketball, so Real, I apologize in advance, or nothing to do with football. But Hannah Weddington, the lady who plays the owner of FC Richmond, just won an Emmy. So congratulations to her.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
Real, if you can find a picture of her, just put it up in front of the thing. That'd be great. If not, that's fine. Um, it's sorry, Ted Lasso. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, and then the second thing, to your point, like we'll see what we have in Randy Gregory when he's healthy, as far as that other pass rush. I think with DeMarcus, people kind of assume that he's just, I mean, he is a defensive end, but he's more effective at stopping the run than he is
He
a
is.
pass rusher. And I think people
Yeah.
get so caught up in his sack numbers that they look and say, oh, he's not doing a good job. It's like, bro,
Mhm.
they're not running on his side of the field. Like, that's how
Exactly.
good he is.
And look at his rushes. It's his rush, the quarterback pressure. He's always
Yes,
towards the top when it
he's
comes to quarterback pressure.
he's around there. And I think if and obviously another thing that people don't talk about is like, obviously he's drawing a double team. Like he's getting that tight end, he's getting the chop from the tight end, or he's getting
Mm-hmm.
that attention from the running back in the pass protection play. So there he has those options to overcome, and you only got so many seconds. He's not top tier. He's not a TJ Watt. Like that's just not him. But he's not. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for what he's able to do from a rushing perspective. I just want to get that out there because I do think he's underrated still somehow.
Yeah.
But I think people saw how much money he got, and it's like that's just how it works. You got to pay him. Like
Exactly.
it is what it is. I think we'll kind of touch on the last job before we wrap things up in terms of our frustrations there. So
Unless you want to mess it up, just like that.
yeah, right, exactly. So for those that didn't watch the game, so the Chargers came down, tied the game at 17, and we had an opportunity, obviously, to drive to put some points on the board to win the game by either scoring a touchdown or a field goal. We had 2 timeouts. I don't even think we used both of them. I think we only used one of them.
Just one.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're driving, and initially they're kind of making these dig and dunk type plays. We're just like, okay, like, because you're trying to do 2 things at once. You're trying to run down the clock and you're trying to get down the field at the same time. And it's like you want to leave time for your kicker if you need him, but you also don't want to leave any time for the Chargers because they just saw what happened last week with Tom Brady when we left too much time on the clock. So I understand they're trying to burn the counter on both ends, but there was so much time that they let just come off the clock with slowly getting back to the line of scrimmage, not doing a whole lot of checking at the line, just kind of taking their time. And then they ran the ball a couple of times, which I'm like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
But then no plays, not many plays out of bounds. Like they weren't throwing out routes to get out of bounds. They weren't doing any of that. They were still using the middle of the field. And I'm like, okay, that's cool if you're going to use your timeouts, but you didn't use your timeouts.
It's like one or the other.
Yeah, it's like, all right, if you're going to use the middle of the field, that's cool because you had 2 timeouts in your pocket, but they weren't using the timeouts. So they get down to, I want to say, the 39 or 40-yard line, which is still not that close. And I think it was a play to CD that he made, didn't get out of bounds. And so we're like, all right, probably call timeout. But they're kind of getting up and just kind of being lackadaisical, getting to the line. I'm like, all right, well, I want to say at this time there's like maybe like 13 seconds left. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, do something. And they're not doing anything. They let the clock run all the way down to 4 seconds. So that after that CD Lamb play, they didn't even get on the playoff, and they were fine with that. I'm like, bruh, you had 2 timeouts, and you didn't try. And I'm not saying you got to take a shot at the end zone, but you have the timeouts. You can run a slant. You can run it out. You can run something just to get your guy more yard, or get your guy closer to a more reasonable attempt. I know Greg DeLeg. I get it. He's hit long distance field goals before, but we just saw last week how we can't depend on him to do that. So to have a 56-yard field goal in the palm of your hand, being like, no, that's enough. We're good here. It's like, what? Yeah. They got bailed out because Greg made it, and shout out to him for doing that. But it's like, dude, if he misses that kick,
you got to look somewhere else.
I'm done. Any thoughts on it yourself?
Yeah, it was terrible. Like I said at the beginning, they should have been going for a touchdown. Just to be able to push it. You have 2 timeouts. You got to push the ball downfield. Understand like some of the running plays to get the ball running or to get the clock running and stuff. One of them was a weird one. It was to Pollard around the edge, and instead of Pollard continuing around the edge because of how
he cut back in, right?
Yeah, he cut back in, and the receiver was blocking to give him the edge. Like it was just weird. Like why not just continue out? So and like the whole situation was just weird. It's like you have 2 timeouts, push the ball downfield, get the clock running. Like that's what Red J did. Just settle for a field goal at the end. It's like stop doing this.
Yes,
stop doing this. You're just handcuffing yourself. Like you have teams that's actually if you're going for a touchdown, at least you're going to be close enough to then hit a field goal if you don't
score. If you don't get it.
Like, and you have just even what was it like we talked about that drive and the one drive that they had in the third quarter where they end up taking a sack and boom out of field goal range.
Yep,
that could have happened here.
Yep.
So why not call plays, go into your 2-minute offense and go try to score a touchdown?
It's almost like it felt like they didn't trust Dak. It's like I'm not saying they didn't, but that's the way you play when you don't trust your quarterback. Like, oh, I want him to throw an interception, or I want him to turn the ball over. It's like, bro, who do you have? You paid this man $40 million. Like, you got to put the game in his hands and trust that he's not going to throw the ball away or not going to throw the game away. If you can't get it a pass, he knows, okay, I can't get it, throw the ball away. Like,
exactly.
So it's just, I didn't even cut you off, but it's just like, bro, you pay him that much money, like, let him do it. And if he can't do it, then you settle for the field goal. But don't settle for the field goal first. Like you said it perfectly. Go for the touchdown first. And if you can't get it, then you know you have the field goal in your back pocket. Don't go the other way around. What kind of like, I was like, did I wake up and go, are we in 2010? Like, what?
All over again.
Oh man, I was so frustrated with that. I was so frustrated with that.
Yeah, that drive was. They ended up hitting the field goal and won it, but it was kind of heartbreaking. You already saw that you could have, and they talk about like stacking games that's forced to getting better. Well, last week, that's what they did. They went to put up a touchdown to try to win this game, and what did they do? They did what they had to try to win. And then this week it's just we'll just keep it do minimum, and hopefully we'll get the field goal to win it. It's like y'all wilding, y'all absolutely wilding.
That's the play not to lose as opposed to playing to win mentality, right? At least that's how it felt. And it's like
it is exactly how it felt.
You might get away with that in the NFC East because every other team stinks. So you might not, it might not bite you in the butt, but do that in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Good luck doing that against New Orleans or Green Bay or Tampa Bay or the Rams or the Seahawks or the Niners or the Cardinals. Like, good luck with that. That ain't gonna work. And I thought like the way that they played last week against Tampa, like they were a lot more aggressive, and so it was like, okay, like. You kind of expected the same thing here, considering the situation. It's like, if you trust Dak to be able to not turn the ball over, if you trust Zeke not to fumble the ball, if you trust your guys to not make critical errors, then go for it. I don't know if the Amari thing was like a scare. If they kind of like felt like, all right, well, let's take our foot off the gas here because we don't want to risk nobody getting hurt. But it's like, Amari gets hurt every game. Like, that's not a shock to anybody. Obviously, I hope he's okay. But if you begging off of the fact that he got hurt as a reason not to be aggressive, then you're not gonna be aggressive at all because he's gonna be hurt every single week. It's just how he plays. It's just it's just what it is. So I just was really discouraged by that. Obviously, like you said, glad to get the win, of course, because you rather play bad and win than play good and lose. Yeah. But it just was not. Whew. I'm curious to know. I'm gonna put the fan on after we're done to see if they discussed or if they asked him. Well, somebody asked him about that, so I'm curious to know what his response was, because I don't know what kind of excuse you can give that makes sense in regards to having that kind of mentality and just letting so much time go off the clock. Like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it, but I'm done. Anything else from you? Just kind of putting the bow on this thing.
No, it was just outside of that, it was just that was just a whole weird situation. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it. It was a good win. Like, do have to make sure that you get these 30 wins, which this was. And even like in our video, we even said like this is going to be a close game. It's going to be fun to watch as well. Because it's to me, it's evenly matched teams going into it between the injuries and everything else. You got two good quarterbacks that can get around the field. And it gave us everything that we expected. Close game, good game, quarterback slinging it over the field, got whatever they wanted. But going into next week, Dallas got some cleaning up to do if they want to continue to winning.
Yeah, so we Cowboys play the Eagles next week at home. They're home over there. Eagles not playing very well this week. I'm already like, did I make the wrong decision on my playoff pick? Whatever. Is that game Monday night?
I think that is the Monday night game.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I'm gonna have to. I'm checking it right now, but I think that's the Monday night game. Okay. I don't think it's a Sunday night. I do think it is the Monday night game.
Okay. Well, we'll have predictions up for that game somewhere in the middle of next week or this week rather. So that's gonna be it for us, guys. Monday night game. There you go. So we'll have our predictions up later on in the week, and then we'll have our I guess response or our reaction video probably up on Tuesday following the Monday Night Football game. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, that is it for us, guys. We appreciate you watching us as usual. If you have any comments on the game, any sort of feedback, reaction, please feel free to comment. But as always, like we say before, at the end of every video, like, share, subscribe, Glow Sun Sports, Glow Sun Geek, for your ambition. Please continue to support us. We appreciate all the love and support. We just reached 100 followers, 100 subscribers on the channel. So super appreciative of you guys. And those of you who are following this or subscribers to the channel, please also follow those other two, Glow Sun Geek and For Your Ambition as well. But on our channel, obviously, as a reminder, go check out all our football stuff, all our NFL predictions. We just put up a NFL prediction video that goes over our division winners for this year, as well as our playoff predictions, Super Bowl predictions as well. Rel just put up a video today, I believe, going over the top 5 shooting guards in Mavs history. So I'm sorry, top 5 small forwards in Mavs history was the one that came up today. So please check those out as well. We love your feedback on those. Also comment on who your top 5 is on those position videos as well. So if nothing else from Will, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We will see you guys next time. We are out.